for introducing me so beautifully. I feel honored to be here, definitely honored to be here. As was said, I live in Lagos. I have been living there for this year. And I just want to, I'm so moved by your city. It is so beautifully clean and so well looked after. I'm moved. This is my first time in Tanzania, and I'm very angry that I didn't extend my visit so that I can really experience your city. But with the words said, and knowing that I can talk too long, I am going to start. So what I must say, if I move up and down, I'm used to moving around, but I do understand that I can't move away from the mic because of the recording that's happening. Otherwise, I would have been in between and through you, and you know, that's how I prefer to work, to be in between one another. But I do understand that I need to stick to the podium and make sure that I'm audible all the time. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, I am hoping to have a conversation with you about emotional, agile leaders, or emotionally agile leaders. Now, you know, there are many words there that we can explore for hours, right? What does it mean to be agile? What does it mean to be a leader? So I am really going to try to give you as much background information so that you can make your own decisions, so that you can establish who you are within that framework that I'm going to share with you, right? And with that, and you need to bear with me, remember, my background as an individual is in sociology and within therapy. So I used to do marriage and family counseling, had to make a move. You know, it wasn't, you know, when you get, as an individual, you get to a point in your career and you think, I always wanted to do this, but this is not for me. So you go through that crisis of what now? What now? So I started teaching, and through teaching and coaching, and got my first job in corporate to write material, move forward, and talents, and we're talking about talents throughout these 3 days, are actually developed. Well, I'm an example thereof. While you are working, and while you allow yourself to develop, because that was it. I had to humble myself and say, I used to be the expert. I used to be the one who you told everything to, and I had the answers, remember? Because you came to see me to solve your problems. And it didn't work for me, right? So I had to adjust. I had to think differently. I had to put myself in a situation where I didn't know what my future was going to be. And it turned out phenomenally, because I took the opportunities that were given to me. And that is a leadership strength, right? I had to acknowledge that I didn't know everything, because I didn't know business. I was given a chance, a huge one. The person who gave me the first chance took a huge risk on me. I will forever be grateful for that person. But I also allowed them to teach me, which is also something that we need to acknowledge. But before we get there, and you see why I interrupt myself, I need to talk to you about your thoughts, about your feelings, and about how we get to what we see as truth and reality. Even before, so this is going to be an exploratory session for you. I promise that I will try not to put you on the spot, but I'm used to saying, what do you think? What do you think? What's your thoughts? And so forth. But I'll try and resist not to do that. But I want you to really explore where you are, what you think, what your reality is, what is truth, before I can start talking about emotions, right? Because emotions are very personal. So let's talk about these concepts. 16,000, and I exceed that every day. 16,000 words, an average individual speaks per day. That's Harvard research done. 16,000, right? Spoken. What about thought? I mean, surely, hopefully, as an adult, you think before you speak, right? How many thoughts go through your head? How do we explore those thoughts? How do we make sure that those thoughts come out as they should? Because we know that our words are influenced by, or when it comes out, we sometimes say stuff that we didn't mean, but it's out. It's there. It's said. Right? You cannot bring it back. Words spoken can never be taken back. Right? 16,000 of them are spoken. What's the difference here, ladies and gentlemen, then between thoughts, what we think, what we feel, and how we behave? Right? We're told to be professional at all time in the business, though you can't always be. Or it moves you, or it shatters you. Or someone is sitting in front of you, you are the boss, and they are going through trauma. And you have to keep the straight face, because we're professional and in a professional environment. Right? We'll talk about that. So, how do we get to those thoughts? What do we allow ourselves to feel? And how do we behave on what we feel? Is usually projected by what is a paradigm. So a paradigm, ladies and gentlemen, the best way to describe it, because each and every one of us, and this is why business and management and leadership is such a wonderful, challenging thing for us every day. Because each and every one of us projects how we behave through a personal paradigm. What is a paradigm? A paradigm is your point of view, your projection, your perception. It's like the glasses you use through which you see the world. Right? So if your glasses are tainted or your glasses are blue, everything you see will have a shade of blue. Right? Because that's your paradigm. So then, if our thoughts, feelings, everything we do is situated, and all of us have individual paradigms, because how are those paradigms formed? How do we get there? But before that, look at those statements. Leadership is in the eye of the beholder. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. A leader is only as strong as her first follower. What resonates with you? Why does it resonate with you? Which one is truth or right? I like that word. I'm right. Especially as parents, do as I say. Right? So look at those. Which one is right? I'll get back to them. Remember them. So, if we see the world as blue, because we're watching it through our blue paradigm, right? How are those paradigms formed? We are all individuals. We are all part of a community. No matter how individualist you think you are, your social construct, your social interactions still let you know who you are, right? The matrix, who are the people around you? And through that, meaning is created, right? So what does that mean? That means the people around us, therefore, tells us what is right, or taught us what is right. Am I right? Your mom and your dad, your social structure, your culture, the friends you had at school. All of those people formed what you saw as the right, as what is truth, right? So that then became your discourse, your paradigm, how you perceive the world, right? And it is within that we can say truth does not exist. Why? your truth exists. Because what you see as being truthful is your truth. But your truth and your truth is different because your paradigm is different. How you see the world is different. What is important is different. So, the big philosophical question, does truth exist? It doesn't. It exists for you. And it's your truth, in other words. Why? Because of discourse. Context then, as you can see, how do we create it? Through language. And how many times, ladies and gentlemen, have you not understood what someone said in an email? Why? Because when we listen to one another, we don't just listen to one another's words speaking, right? We listen to one another. That's why I think also with this whole COVID virtual world where you only see the purple dot or the name on the screen, many messages went astray. Because our reality and who we are, how we understand people, takes place on what we see and what we hear. Of course, I'm not angry. Really now? Of course, I have patience. Right? Of course I have patience. Of course I'm not angry. Tone, my body language. It's the same words, but it's completely different. And I think with a virtual environment, we do lose that. We do, not so much the tone, but even in some cases, because networks are network, bandwidth is bandwidth, right? So we do lose that. But what is important is that language then, ladies and gentlemen, also creates context. Because if you take the work environment, right, and we're going to talk about organizational culture somewhere in this week, I saw that. But an organizational culture says what about an organization? It says how do we treat one another, how do we speak to one another, what the organization is all about. Am I right? Okay? So who creates that reality? The executives? Or the people who works for them? Who hangs on to what the purpose of the organization is, right? That is a reality that has been created. Right? Through what? Through language. You saw the vision, you saw the mission, you know the values, you live them, and you see them in the leaders and the managers of that organization. That's why you're there. That's why you follow. That's why you want to be there. Because you connect with them on a different level, which is what we will also talk about. So do you see then, through language, through the words context is also created. Simple example. If I go to Japan and I talk about a robot, what do you think of? People who, those things that are going to take our jobs, remember? That one. That's what they see when you say the word robot. Here? Same word. Context is different, means different. There's method in my madness, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you I'll bring all of this together, okay? So the words we say is a reality, like you see there. It's not the reality, right? It's a section of the truth. It's not the truth. And that, I think, is one of the biggest challenges that managers and leaders, specifically leaders, are being faced with today. Okay, what is it we're working towards? Is it just people, profit, planet? Where's purpose? Where is, and I said your city is so clean, but where are we taking care of whom? What does it mean to be a manager today? Because really now, is it my responsibility to take care of the emotions of the people who work for me? If there are any HR individuals or HR managers, they would say yes. Financial managers? Really no. But that's my concept, right? That's my reality. Because how can you not look after your people on an emotional level? I pay them. They must take care of themselves. No, exactly. Okay. So through all of this, what is our responsibility then as manager? Because we have all this knowledge. Now look at the last one. Our challenge then is to take what we know, right? Deconstruct this. How do I know what I know? Right? Challenge it. And create meaning or create our own truth within that. And as a manager and a leader, what then? Okay. Do you bring your team on board? What? Towards your truth? Or towards a truth that's created together? This is a very sociological term, and I want you to go through that at your own time. But basically what it means here, ladies and gentlemen, is that the collective, right? And this is very, I mean, when I studied this the first time, I thought, surely this is not new news. We're Africans. We know this, right? But we're privileged because we're Africans, because we know this. That the collective, ladies and gentlemen, creates reality. The community, the tribe in olden times, right? What is our tribes today? We live in modern world, but we're still social beings, right? We're still, I mean, even what happened in COVID, ladies and gentlemen, is after a month, 2 months in isolation or at home, you craved human connection, not just the screen. You crave to connect with your people around you. Why? Because that's who we are. Okay? We're human. All right? Look at that. Taken for granted should always be challenged because I say so. Okay? How do you get there? Which is, I hope you read through all of that. Perspectives, views, we create together. That's the most important thing. And I want you to remember that. I will leave the deck with Alex and them so that you can go through it. So now, if everyone creates their own reality, what do you know? What do you know? What is truth? How do you know? You know. Do you think someone will convince you that you don't really know? And what does that say about you? Right? Whatever your answer was. So look at this again. Are you still as convinced of your answer that was what resonated with me? Therefore it is right. If you are not, what do you think is busy happening? Like, maybe I should investigate why I thought the leader is only as strong as her first follower. Why did I like that one the most? Is it because I told you, or I kind of projected towards you that leader is a woman? What does that say about you? What does that say about what you think truth is and where you will find your knowledge? And is it fair? Is that how we should be making decisions? As managers, as leaders? Yeah? So before we really know how we create what is right for us, we need to be intelligent about it. And we need to start following, or we need to be emotionally agile. Now, emotional agility, I cannot jump to that, because before emotional agility, you've got to look at your personal mastery, which is very briefly what we did here. It usually takes me about a day to get through all of these, because I do little exercises in between to really challenge your discourse and to shift that paradigm towards where you need to start deconstructing what you think is truth, because what is truth, right? But before we can get to emotional agility, we need to talk about emotional intelligence and we need to talk about spiritual intelligence. Now, it is said that emotional agility is a one-up from emotional intelligence and and spiritual intelligence. So I'll talk about emotional. I'm going to really do that. How much time do I still have? I'm still good. I suppose so. I've got an hour. I didn't check when I started. Oh, 20 minutes. Okay, fantastic. So just to start, differentiating. Emotional intelligence, ladies and gentlemen, and I want you to have a look at the dates to which these quotes were taken from. How old or how long ago we've been trying to implement what is emotional intelligence towards what is emotional agility. So basically, emotional intelligence is what you see there on the screen, managing your own emotions and then those around you, or managing the emotional outburst or emotional environment of those around you. Emotional agility then said, can you really control emotions? Really now? Because that's what emotional intelligence requires, for you to control emotions. And is that really a possibility? For some it is. Okay, but can I control yours and yours? How you feel about the words we say? Remember I said we create reality in words. Okay, and sometimes we understand a word because we know what the opposite of that word means. Right? I was doing a coaching session once and I do this very often, and it's, well, I stopped it now. I referred to someone in the session we were talking, and it was more than just it was a life coaching session, right? And I called the person in front of me a nickname, or like a sweetheart or something like that, sweetie. I can't remember even what the word is. And that person went off their mind. Emotionally aggressive towards me. And I was like, wait, yes, maybe I shouldn't talk. It wasn't a business environment, it's not as though I'm going to tell my executive manager, listen, sweetheart, no. But it was in a situation that we were comfortable with one another. It was the first time I had a conversation with this person. And went really, I thought, where did that come from? And I asked her, where did that come from? It came from, she had a story of abuse, and her abuser used to call her that name. So the emotion I evoked in just a word, what did I do there? That resistance. I was trying to help her. She was feeling vulnerable. And the emotion just opened up, right, from where she was. So be mindful of the words that we use when we talk to people. And you do it with the greatest intention, but there's meaning behind language, okay, which can provoke. Okay, now thoughts are not where we think my intention was not to hurt, obviously not to hurt, but for that split moment, I couldn't remember her name, and I just called her the first word that comes to mind. No intention of hurt there, but the emotions it evoked. And we do that in the business environment. Call someone buddy. Call someone my friend. They told me in Nigeria, if someone starts calling you my friend, you're in trouble. Listen, my friend. Which I didn't know in South Africa. Listen, my friend. It's like, yeah, buddy, But yeah, so those type of words, again, context, language, where does it come from? And every individual that is part of your team has that matrix of existence behind them that created this reality. That's what you need to understand here. Every person in your team and every person above you as well, right? So that's very important to understand. So the core principles, and I have to run through this, core principles of emotional intelligence: self-awareness, self-management, self. On the social is the bottom, social awareness and relationship management. Right? That is what an emotional intelligent leader practices. I'll definitely make sure that Alex and Dale shares the deck with you All right, there's notes in there as well, my crib notes at the bottom of the page so that I can see them. Right, so what does it mean to be self-aware? Now remember, we're talking about emotional intelligence, EQ for short. So what does it mean to be self-aware? Know where your emotion is coming from. Know what triggers that emotion. This example that I used of the sweetie, sweetheart word that I said, that word creates emotion for that person. She should know it. She didn't know. Okay? Because it was fine in any other place where someone would say that, didn't it? But the space that we created together in a session, she felt vulnerable. Remember? It was a space of vulnerability. She was opening up. And you do feel vulnerable when you do therapy. I don't know how many of you have ever been through those situations. It's exposing, man. It's like, what, this person is digging. But that's their job, right? They're listening to what you are not saying and bouncing on those moments for you. All right. But those type of, I know that I shouldn't put myself in a situation like that because it makes me angry. I know, for example, I get excessively irritated if I have to look for a document in the cloud. Really now. How much time do we waste looking for where did we save this? So I overcompensate by being very, very meticulous in the way that I save stuff because I hate looking for it. And I hate asking my team, and luckily they know that because we have these conversations. My team knows that as well. So they also save meticulously, correctly, because if it's not saved correctly, and yes, no one is perfect. I'm not always emotionally intelligent, believe you me, right? It bites. It's one thing that I heard once, right? But my team knows, leave her alone today, she'll get over it, okay? And I do get over it because I'm a grown-up, right? Get over it, done and dusted. But they know, okay, for this moment, just leave her alone, okay? But I'm aware of that too, and I'll tell them that. I'll tell them that, you know what, don't talk to me for at least a half an hour. I need to calm down. Okay. And they leave me alone. Because I know I need to calm down. Because I know if I am going to talk to you now, I am going to talk to you with aggression or with agitation or with irritation. And that's not fair to you. So give me a few minutes and I will collect myself. That's okay. Is it okay? Is it something strange? Have you seen your boss doing that? I've told my boss once before to do that. I'm not going to talk to you now because I'm not interested in having a conversation with aggression. And I walked out. I did think I'm going to have to walk straight to the lift and go home, but I did not. He came to me after an hour and said, let's continue our conversation. Okay? Never again did I have to say that. Because he himself then said, you know what, let me just stop now. I said, okay, we both know where we are. So let's leave it at that. Okay, so being aware, being continuously assessing. Self-assessment is very difficult and it takes time and it's a continuous, you do it every day, but you do it most times because you ask yourself, why does this specifically irritate me so much? Why when people don't save stuff correctly, why does it upset me? For heaven's sake. It's organization. Why does it irritate me so? So I have to go and assess where it comes from. It comes from time wasting. It comes from being productive. It comes from, in business we talk about the 5 whys. So the why. So you really dig deep. So wasting time, not being productive, not getting the value that I deserve from every day. Right? And not adding the value that I wish to add every day, because that is my purpose, adding value, right? So I have to really see where that is coming from. So that is your job then, is to see what is it that that irritates me, or makes me emotional, or makes me want to run, or pushes fear into my heart. What makes me scared? Why am I scared about this? Why do I? You have to ask yourself that. All right. And then self-confidence. I told my boss I'm going to talk to aggression. And it was a risk, like I said. But you only have to do it that once. Right? And it takes confidence, which I don't always have. Because we don't. We are fearful. When we're in situations that's unfamiliar, it's okay. Our brains are actually wired that way, right? That's how the cave people thought. The first thing that they looked out, their cave wall, door, I don't know, stone, that they had to roll out their way to get outside, was to look for danger. We still think that way. We still, when we see our surroundings, see the negative. Or try to see the negative, but there's ways to break it, right? I don't know if any of you have ever done something that is life-threatening. Life-threatening not in the way that you were thinking, but jumping off a cliff, or roller coaster driving, or anything like that, where you actually have to let go and just jump. Your brain tells you, don't do this, you're going to die. Don't do this, don't do that. And getting off that cliff, very few people just go, for the first time, just go, yes, please, and they jump. Very few people. Personally, they had to shove me, because I couldn't get off that cliff, and they kind of just, but it was amazing. Never do it again. But it was amazing just to experience that resistance, okay? And that resistance was severe, right? Because not every day you're confronted with a situation that puts you in the eye of death, where your brain thinks. But think about, isn't that a situation also that you experience on every day on a professional kind of, this can end my career. So you're so fearful of it, or this can make my career. And you're fearful of it. Well, why are we scared of the opportunities that's in front of us? Okay, but I'm going too far ahead of me. Self-management, ladies and gentlemen, for the self-control. You see, and this is where emotional agility has a little bit of a when it comes to emotional intelligence. But can we really control ourselves? I think we can to a certain degree, but we still have to acknowledge when that control is not 100% there, right? And it's okay, because we are all still growing. And if you are not growing, you're basically dead, right? Because what do we call a plant that is not growing? So why is it different for humans? If you are not developing, if you are not allowing yourself to grow, you're just living? Is that good enough for you? Is that your dream? Is that where you're going? Is that what you wanted for yourself? Is that fair? All the hard work you put in, right? So yeah, self-control is there. I think what makes it peaceful for me to talk about self-control is that I know the situations that does upset me. I know what is disruptive to me. I know that I can procrastinate, things like that. So I counter that with my actions. I do the stuff I hate in the morning when I get to the office first thing, right? Because if I leave it, I don't get there, or tomorrow's another day. Put it in your task list. Mark it as red in the project management. Do it. That which you hate, just get it done. Transparency. And this is very difficult because we are told that a professional environment is a professional environment. And it is. A professional environment, ladies and gentlemen, is an environment where everyone has the opportunity to develop. That is what professionalism means. And if it is your responsibility as a manager, specifically a leader, to allow that development to take place. My biggest lesson that I had to learn is delegation. I don't know how many of you sitting here struggles with that. Because I can do it better, right? So I'll just do it. Which means you work a 16-hour day and your people bring half done stuff to you because they know you're going to fix it. How developmental is that? How fair is that towards you? Right? We're talking work-life balance, really now. Especially during COVID, we just left it. You know, we just forgot that we were always at home, but we were always at work. Right? People would come and visit and say, you know what, you really need to go because I need to work. Work-life balance, right? Stealing the opportunity from the young ones to learn from you when you do things like that. And that's not fair. You know what you know because people taught you that, because you allowed yourself to be taught, because you allowed yourself to grow. Now you're taking it away from someone else. But it was a big lesson for me to learn as well. And I had to be very transparent with that. And it was very, very difficult. I will tell you that. But I still fail every now and then when it comes to delegation. But I'm getting better. Adaptability. Adaptability, ladies and gentlemen, I don't even think we need to talk about that anymore after what all of us have been through the past 2 years. You had to adapt or you failed. And failed abysmally, right? Some people failed completely and had to reinvent the way in which they do business, reinvent their organizations completely. I always say that I was very, very lucky because I was with Regenesis, because by the time, and Regenesis is a business school, right? And we were online for 7 years before COVID hit. So we knew our systems worked well. We knew that we would be able to continue the education. What we struggled with, and that's a story for a different day. What we struggled with is my corporate contact projects participants, right, who struggled to go online. The corporates, ladies and gentlemen, not the students doing their BBA. The corporates struggled using the portal, using assessment online, using the apps that we use for exams and things like that. We worked hard, phoning each and every one of them. And this is press, now log in. Yes, log in. No, that's that button, that color button. Press that button. It was very interesting because we conducted corporate like this. What was also very interesting to me is we do a lot of group coaching. We call it campfire sessions, right? Where we have like a campfire environment, the leader and their team, and having that conversation of what is fever, what impacted me. When does doubt become part of our story? What do we do when doubt becomes part of our story? So you have that conversation around a fire or around what we would physically with one another. That was very difficult to continue within the virtual environment. Anyway, we had to adapt and we did it. Achievement orientation, yes, because everyone around you should reach what you believe the organizational goal is, what we need to, as we see here, what we need to do and how we need to get there. Oh, is my time up? Oh my goodness, okay, 10 minutes. Initiative, ladies and gentlemen. You have to take initiative. Where do you get that initiative from? Teams? Individuals? What does it take from you as the leader, the manager, the boss, to take someone else's ideas and say, well, that's good. How do we work with that? Okay? That humbling experience is very difficult for some people because we still put status on a title. Yeah? What is a title? Really now. A rose by any other name. Social awareness, ladies and gentlemen. Empathy. I struggle with empathy, maybe because I don't find empathy always as being real. I feel sometimes that empathy could be perceived as judgmental. I don't know, but that's you see, my personal framework is that. But empathy is really trying to put yourself into the shoes of that person and trying to solve the situation that they're going through their eyes, which is very difficult, right? Because we don't understand where they're coming from. And it takes a lot of time. Organizational awareness makes sure that we know what the organization wants and what the organization stands for when it comes to this. And then service orientation. Service orientation, we are there because of the people who buy our products or who pay for our services, right? So they should be at the forefront of what we are doing. Emotional intelligence also makes sure that you can be an inspirational leader because people want to learn from you. People want to listen to you. People are eager to talk to you because they know that they will receive a answer or get to that answer themselves. It's developmental. And that's always nice if you can create that environment. You're developing others. You're in the position of influencing them. It goes through a collaborative approach. You build bonds. Can you imagine a team that talks about their problems together, solve them together, and then celebrate that together? You do manage conflict much more effectively. Why are you feeling, why, when that one took your paper out of the printer, did it make you so angry? What does that come from? It's because you think that they're more important than you. You eventually get to those answers, right? So then what is this conflict? And then obviously you're a change catalyst. You're the person who generates that change the whole time. This I will make sure that you can get through emotional self-awareness, your acute confidence. We've spoken about that. Hey, you see. I want to get to spirit. So these are all what I just flipped through, ladies and gentlemen. I used examples for. But when you get the deck, you'll remind yourself what it's all about. All right. Spiritual intelligence, ladies and gentlemen, is about with emotional intelligence, you get to the point where you see the purpose of it all. You see the purpose of why you are in that organization, why you either should be there or should not be there. And unfortunately, not all of us have that choice because a job is a job. But you need to continuously look for what your purpose is, what you value, and link that value to the organizational value, right? I think when you talk about organizational culture, that will definitely become part of that. When we touch on those things, that will definitely become part of that. But the principle of spiritual intelligence is listed there, but it goes much deeper than that, ladies and gentlemen, and it's about, and you will see, it links with emotional intelligence. They go hand in hand, right? But life is cyclical, and life is uncertain. We all know that. We know that when you find meaning in what you do, it motivates you. You know, you don't need to ask, if it's people who love their jobs, you don't need to ask them to do it. They do it anyway. What does that say about people who don't do their jobs? That they don't love it? Then why are they there? Sometimes those difficult decisions and difficult conversations need to be had. Okay? If you don't like what you are doing, why are you here? Because I need the experience. That's an honest answer. Okay? So that you can go where? With that experience. Really now. Okay? I want to end up, someone told me once, and I mean we're in education, right? And project management and things like that. I said, okay, but why are you doing what you are doing? Okay. It's for the experience. But what do you want to do? I want to be a chef. You're in education, working in projects, doing highly administrative work because you want to be a chef. So I really had to explore that, right? Needed the money, needed, the time, needed to understand. So they worked through the process. But eventually that person did, I hear later on, get to a chef school. So she did get to her purpose. But that's the decisions that we need to make, that path that we need to follow, right? We need peace of mind. Yes, we do. Do we trust in human goodness? Should we? There is an interconnectivity there, ladies and gentlemen, and courage to come from the heart. You cannot do anything if courage is not there. These are behaviors of SQ. Self-awareness, being positive, being compassionate. Being compassionate is not always easy because you have a deadline, right? Get to that, then I'll listen to your stories. Right? Not always possible. Because as you develop, as you work with people, you do listen to their stories. Especially if you burn the midnight hour, that's when you really hear what things are happening in the background. Vision and value-led, holistic, celebrates diversity, ladies and gentlemen. Say enough about diversity. We are in a privileged situation being in Africa, knowing that we work with people with very different backgrounds, very different cultures, gender, sexual, all of that. We are confronted with it on a daily basis, and we deal with it. Because we do. Because that's what we do. Right? In Africa, that's who we are. If you ever had to work for an international country who actually only speaks one language or acknowledges that they speak one language, come from one country, do one thing, everyone who doesn't do it that way, so what's wrong with that person? You know? But the wealth in that knowledge that you get from a diverse, and Lucy's going to tell us, the millennials, the generation of Gen Z, X, whatever, wherever we are now, right? But there's wealth there. They're not scared to push the button. You know, they're not. That's what's right for them, okay? But there's wealth there. There's knowledge there. They can do what they can do, and they do it very well. We just need to acknowledge that. Ask fundamental questions, fundamental humility, vocation, doing, right? And we're in the position to reframe. That's what I just said, okay? We've spoken about this. Patterns that we allow to cluster our thoughts. I can't do this. I've never done finance. I don't know how to count. Really now. Now you want me to do a budget. Yeah, there's a calculator on your computer. You know, what's on the one side should be on the other side. Okay. What comes in can go out. Not must go out. Can go out. Okay. You must save at least a part of that which comes in. But it doesn't mean it has to go out. But you cannot let it go out if nothing is coming in. Simple principles, okay? But I can't count. Okay, this is where I wanted to go to. So what then? Apart from everything, everyone around us, emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence, which is seen as not the dinosaurs, it's older, but it's practiced still. It has to be practiced still. I think I convinced you of that. Emotional agility comes on top of that. Emotional agility is about basing your emotions in values. Okay, this is how I feel, this is why I feel the way I feel, and this is how I allow those feelings to come to fruition, right? What is good for you is not good for that person. Some people like crying in a bathroom. You know, because they need that attention. Why do they need attention? Because there's hurt there. Why is there hurt there? And isn't my responsibility to take care of that? HR? Should I ask you that question? Okay. And we should take care of that. Because ultimately, for some people, it's disruptive. Okay? And if you just about profit, it's unproductive. Okay? And it's not just unproductive for the person in the bathroom crying. Because the stories that you see, that one is in the bathroom again. She's crying again. What is happening here? You know, then, you know, which is also, yes, 5 minutes, I know, which is also less productive, or which is also destructive. Gossip. Embracing, unlock the negative. Remember I told you, we are geared to think negatively. Okay? That's how your brain thinks. Accept it. Woo! Okay, let's really look at what's happening around us. Is this worth my trepidation? My worry? Is this a real fear? A real fear is there something behind this bush ready to attack me and eat me alive. That's fear. That's okay to be fearful of. But worrying about it, the perhaps, the what can go wrong, didn't you do a risk analysis and do your risk plan? So use that. Be prepared for your fear. All right? The culture of experimentation. Do we work together to solve our problems? Do we work together to fail? And celebrate the failure so that we can move on. What did we learn from that? Okay, what do we take from that? What will we not do again? Yes, I can. Of course I can. Of course I can. I can. Of course. But you know what you can? Because we are all resilient. And each and every one of us proved that to ourselves the past 2 years. You've lived through it. Every trepidation. The world changed. You changed with it. How do I know that? You're here. You all look gorgeous. Which means you have running water. You have power. You arrived here in a vehicle. You could eat. That's a privilege today. Right? So within the teams that we lead, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I want to leave you with. You see, I promise you'll get the deck. That 16,000 word we speak should be calculated. You can triple the thoughts that you have behind it. Right? But be mindful of what you say. And where those words come from. I am forever grateful to have shared this with you, to be able to have shared this with you. I know that there's a lot that we still need to talk about. Okay, I am part of the panel this afternoon, so you can ask me all of these questions. I will, obviously, my contact details are all here. If you want to talk further, if there's further questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. I told you, I love coaching, I love talking, I love being with people, and management and leadership is my passion. I work out programs for people, for businesses and so forth. So please, connect with me through this conference as well. Listen, learn, react. It's okay to react. Okay? Reframe. And rejoice. Because that's what life's about. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been my privilege.